Welcome into Bills Tonight Digital. The Bills get right back on track, defeating the New York Jets 45-17. It was a great day for the offense, a great day for the defense. The Bills are now 6-3. They're riding a 9-game win streak, Steve Tasker, in the AFC East right now. Of course, they swept the division last year, and they're on track to do it again. They haven't played a lot of AFC East teams yet. This is just their third game against the AFC East this season. They still have 3 more left, but I liked what I saw from Buffalo today. How did Buffalo bounce back in this game?
Well, they ran the ball a little better. They handed the ball off to Josh Allen, and they protected him, and that was really, they got a better play from their offensive line. Josh Allen had time to scan the field, got the extra half a second or 3/4 of a second that they needed that he couldn't get last week against Jacksonville. And Josh carved up the New York Jets in their secondary. He played extremely well. Steph Diggs emerged, had a huge game, a lot of big plays. Their running game early on, they came out, put Josh Allen under center, threatened the Jets hard with the running game, had just enough success then to play action and throw the football down the field. Plus, the defense showed up huge. 5 turnovers, 4 defensive backs for the Bills had interceptions, and the 5th, Micah Hyde, forced a fumble and recovered the same fumble. So all 5 defensive backs are responsible for a turnover in this game. That's how you win.
The defense did a great job of taking the ball away and giving it right back to the Buffalo Bills. The Bills had 489 total yards of offense. That is so many yards. It could be the total yards in a game, but today it was what the Bills racked up on offense. And I'm wondering the last time that everyone on the secondary in the same game had a takeaway. We'll have to figure that date out, or if that's ever happened, and let you guys know. But speaking of the defense, Micah Hyde and Jordan Poyer are on the podium answering some questions after their monstrous performance today.
We're going to have some opportunities on the defense to take the ball away. And our goal today was to put them in passing situations. Our goal every week is to put the quarterback in passing situations. And we were able to do that.
It was impossible not to notice A.J. Klein flying around. I mean, you guys both talked about the confidence you had in him, but how impressive to see him come out here and play the way he did today.
A.J. does that every time he gets his opportunity to go out there and play. A guy who's been, a guy who's been in the league a long time. He's been in this defense a long time. He's a guy who will go in there and he'll make plays. There's really no fall off with him going into the game. We're all confident in him. We trust him, and he had a hell of a game today.
Mike, is this what Sean McDermott meant about the way you guys have to play? It seemed like, I know you can't speak for the offense, but they attacked vertically. You attacked the football. Is this a better team when everybody's attacking, basically?
Yeah, for sure. We, like I said, the mindset each and every week doesn't change for us. We put the work in each and every week. You guys know it. You guys talk to us on Wednesdays and Thursdays, and we say the same stuff. We go out there each and every week, practice hard, try to execute the game plan that we have, and that is always the game plan, attacking. And, sometimes we get put in situations where we can do that. Other times we try to do that, but it just doesn't come through. And today was one of those times that, we were attacking and everything was falling into place.
Micah, you guys talk about the same every week, but a game like today where the offense does it, you guys do it, turnovers. Did you need a game like today over a long stretch of 17 games? Did you need a game where everybody just does what they did today?
We needed a win. If that's what you're asking, it doesn't matter how we get it. You know what I'm saying? We want to win, and it was, our backs were against the wall, I guess. After last week, it was a tough loss, and we wanted to go out here and get a win today. Whether if it was a 9-6 game, us winning, or the final outcome of today, we wanted to get a win and hopefully that can get the ball rolling.
Jordan, I know you're not one to sort of reflect on the season as a whole. You kind of take it game by game, week by week. But, with maybe the possible exception of the Tennessee game, this defense has consistently, performed at a really high level this season. How would you sort of assess where you guys are halfway through the year right now?
I mean, you never want to feel and be complacent. Obviously there's a lot of things that we can do better, and we want to keep refining those things and continue to get better. What Frazier always say, you never want to peak early September, October, November. Time to peak is late November, December games, and that's just basically just saying keep getting better. And I tell you guys every single week, win or loss, draw, we go into the film tomorrow, we watch the tape, we can make our corrections. We're all grown men about it, win, lose, or draw, and we move forward. And that's just what this team has done in our wins and our losses, and that's just what we're going to continue to do. We're not complacent. We want to continue to get better. We got a lot of work to do, a lot of football games to be played, so we got to keep working.
Mike, anything you guys saw, watching the film of Mike White that you thought you could expose, and maybe you throw anything at him that you thought maybe surprised him?
All right, just another thing we say every week. Once you put the quarterback in pass situations, you try to affect him, eyes, feet, arm. You try to affect him any way you can. And with a guy that doesn't have a ton of experience, playing against some defense in this league, you want to try to mix it up, make it sticky for him, and putting them in passing situations and letting our guys up front go eat and our guys on the back end, lock up and try to get tight coverage on the receivers. We knew if we were able to do that, then it was going to be a good day for us.
Mike, can you please walk us through the forced fumble that you had at the end of the first half? Corey Davis has that long catch. Looks like he's putting them right in field goal range. And, how big of a momentum?
Just one of those plays we preach all the time. Whenever you're around the football, obviously, you're making the tackle, but you always go after the football. And so, that's what I tried to do and was, able to get it out. We like I said, we practice that a lot. Each and every play of practice, you got Jay Pope punching at the football, and those offensive guys hate it because we punching them all the time. We hate it because our wrists and knuckles are all messed up from it. But that's what we preach, and so I was able to do that today.
You guys in 9 games have only allowed 6 points in the first quarter the whole season. What is it about coming out of the locker room immediately and being able to kind of put your fingerprint on the game?
Start fast, man. We preach it all the time. Start fast. Offense go out there, put some points up, and defense get some stops. And I feel like at the end of the game that we didn't execute to our ability. We gave us some stuff on, give them some first downs on penalties, which that's what hurt us last week. We can't continue to do that. So, even though the outcome of the game was what it was, we still got a lot to build off of.
Jordan, when you had the interception, did you realize that all 5 of you had then forced some sort of...
Yeah, that boy knew.
Yeah, I knew I was the only one that didn't have one yet, so I had to figure out a way to go get one. Thank you, Mike White, for giving us 5.
Mitch Morse is next.
Wow, Jordan Poyer saying thank you, Mike White, for each giving us one. I love that, saying that he had to find a way to get a takeaway since all of his teammates in the secondary had one in that game. And, of course, he was able to get one there. 24 takeaways through 9 games is the most since they recorded 29 through 9 games in 1993. So this team is catching up with some teams that you got to be a part of, Steve. Yeah. And going into this game, we knew what the Bills did in Week 9 against the Jacksonville Jaguars, just putting up 6 points. There was a lot of question marks heading towards the offense with their offensive line play, Josh not having the time to see the field develop, not having the time to hit his receivers, and the running backs not having the time to hit the holes. And so Spencer Brown was able to get healthy for this game. He was dealing with a back injury the last 2 weeks and came back for this one. Of course, John Feliciano was on IR, so the Bills' offensive line is still without him, but they were able to get back to their normal 5, closer to their normal 5 in this weekend. And you could see what the Bills do when they have that good offensive line play. I mean, Josh Allen completed 75% of his passes. The running backs averaged 5.8 yards per attempt. They only averaged 2.4 last week against the Jaguars. So a clean pocket for Josh Allen for the running backs does wonders for this offense. And like we hear Sean McDermott say week after week, it starts up front. And he said without line play, you can't do much.
Yeah, and 139 yards rushing, 4 rushing TDs. That's more like that's really about what the Bills want their rushing game to look like. High per attempt averages, but not very many attempts. Just keep enough threat. The play action really worked well for Buffalo today. Gave Josh Allen a lot of time, helped his offensive line get their feet under them. I think the first play of the game was a hard play action. So that kind of philosophy really sounds basic. It's hard to do when your offensive line, doesn't. And I think moving Josh under center really gave them an edge to do that. It gave them hard play action fakes, really told the defense they had to come in and honor that, and they paid the price for it in the back end when Josh would roll out or drop back to pass after the hard fake. So that, 4 rushing touchdowns as well, getting down inside the red zone, 6 touchdowns overall, 2 touchdown passes for Josh, 4 rushing touchdowns. It's a big day. But that's the kind of running game I think Buffalo would love to stick with. Not a huge amount of attempts, but very productive when they did hand it off.
Yeah, in week 8 and week 9, Josh Allen was the leading rusher. He was not today. Only had 2 carries for 3 yards. That's what you want to see from Josh Allen in a game like this. All right, Mitch Morse is at the podium. Let's hear what he thought about the offensive line play today.
Conference this Sunday. How much fun is it though to bounce back in with a performance like that offensively when things just click right away?
It was a tough week like I had talked about last week, kind of pointing inwards. Guys did that from top to bottom, players and staff. And I think the big thing was just how pivotal a moment that was as a team. You run into adversity every year, and believe me, we're going to run into more. It was a great way to grow. Of course, we didn't want to lose that game, but we came in with a great mindset into the work week, and the coaches put us in a great position offensively. And the defense did a fantastic job of getting some turnovers. And we played complementary football. I think last week we weren't able to do that, and that showed. And much better feeling. Still some work to do, but a very tough divisional opponent. To be able to come out with a win in MetLife is it's great.
Mitch, we spent a lot of time this week, talking to your teammates and your coaches about being more effective in the run game. And albeit it's one game, but did you see your team turn a corner a little bit with that area today?
Yeah, I think you prefaced it the proper way. It's one game. But yeah, you definitely want to take that step in the right direction. I think there was still some yards we left on the field. But it's a great way to progress. We'll learn from our mistakes, stay in the run game. It was a great opportunity to mix it up a little bit, and hopefully we can continue to run effectively so that they can have some confidence in us being able to accumulate some yards and put us in some optimal positions instead of some second and longs or third and longs.
What did Matt Breida show you? I mean, it's been a while since he was active on game day, and to contribute the way he did, what were your impressions of his game?
Yeah, Matt's one of my favorite dudes. Comes into work. Probably hasn't played as much as he'd like. But he's a fantastic teammate and runs hard. And we see that in practice. We see that in the preseason. We've seen that in the games he's been active. And love Matt Breida. Love all of our running backs. We feel very comfortable with who we have back there. Sometimes we mess up, and our running backs do a great job of making us right. So that was fun.
Spencer Brown had a couple of big blocks, pancake-type blocks on the runs. He's a young guy, but what does he bring to you guys when he's back in the lineup?
He's just so full of youthful vigor. Spencer Brown is going to be a special football player. I think as a rookie, there's always stuff to learn from. Minor things, some big, some, part of it comes with just experience. The guy hadn't played football last year, and now he's coming in and stepping in a pretty big position, and I thought he's played admirably. He's got poise beyond his years as a rookie. I'm sure like everyone he'd say there's plenty to work on, right? But we feel very comfortable with who we have as an offensive line, and Spencer Brown being back in the lineup definitely helps, but not to say that other guys can't step in and do that job. Spencer's been really playing good football, and hopefully we can all continue to grow, especially him.
What's it like in a week like that where, as a group, I mean, you guys put it on yourselves a lot last week. I mean, we talked to you on Sunday, and then, throughout the week, a couple of you guys. What's that process like when you're part of a team and it feels like maybe you're kind of owning a lot of the brunt of the responsibility for it?
I mean, no one grows up wanting to be an offensive lineman, right? We've been disappointed our whole football career, starting from when we were Pee Wee players. That being said, I think anyone who watched the film last week knows that, as professionals, no matter what's being called, you take pride in executing what the coordinators put out there. So there was no pointing fingers on play calls as much as it was when your number's called, you have to execute, and we didn't do a very good job of that. There's still some things even today plenty to correct, and that's the beautiful part of this game. It's very frustrating as well. But when you give Josh time, when you give running backs lanes, they can make stuff happen. When we don't, that's when negative plays happen, and that's when it puts us in third and longs, and Lord knows these defenses now are just dialing up some insane stuff that's pretty hard to block. So for us, it's just putting our offense in more it's just better positions.
Not really too fair. A lot of
Okay, Mitch Morse, I think, has the quote of the day so far. No one grows up wanting to be an offensive lineman. That is hilarious. I want to ask you about two guys who had an opportunity today to step in and had great games. Matt Breida being one of those players. He had 2 total touchdowns, one rushing touchdown, and caught a pass from Josh Allen for a touchdown as well. And the second player was A.J. Klein. We know Tremaine Edmonds couldn't play in this game due to injury, so A.J. Klein stepped up as the Mike linebacker, which is not an easy thing to do, to fill in as a Mike linebacker, and he was all over the place. You look at Tremaine Edmonds, the type of athlete that he is, what he can do, versus a guy like A.J. Klein, who's a 9-year vet in the NFL. He's still a great player, but Tremaine is just so much younger than him and adds the length that A.J. Klein doesn't have. But you didn't see much of a drop-off today when Matt Breida came in as a running back and when A.J. Klein was on the field as the Mike linebacker.
Yeah, it looked like it was going to be Matt Breida's huge day today. 2 touchdowns, 1 passing, one rushing. He had the bad fumble after a long run that gave him, and he's gonna live with that. That's a bummer, because that was the capper on what really was a great day for him. He had 3 rushes for 28 yards and 3 catches for 22 yards. He was a part of the offense then, and we knew coming into this game, particularly when he heard the inactive, they had 5 running backs active, including Reggie Gilliam, the fullback. So you knew they were going to spread it around a little bit. And then when they started with a couple of tight ends in the game,
first look that they gave,
and Josh Allen under center, it was going to be a little bit different offense. And in the last of it, it's 28 passing attempts, 24 rushing attempts.
About as 50-50 as you can get.
That's close.
For this
we never
team,
thought
at
we'd
least.
see that, and they did it on a day when they scored 45 points.
And they did it against a passing defense that's 29th in the NFL. I think coming in this game, you go, oh, they're going to throw it all over the place, which they did, but they also were able to implement the rushing offense there.
That comes down to also, I think the offensive line did step up today. There's no question about it. Spencer Brown was up there. I think one of the things they're able to do when Spencer Brown is out in the game and then they move Darrell Williams down to guard, you have to be a real athlete to play tackle. Darrell Williams has played a lot of tackle. Spencer Brown is a right tackle. And then you've got Deion Dawkins on the other side, and Mitch Morse is known as being a guy who can get out and run. That athleticism served him well in the run game today. You could see them getting to the edge. They ran some wide zone runs today, and they were effective. It was interesting. One of the times when they blocked it up perfectly, Devin Singletary had the ball, fumbled it while he was running it, and picked it back up. That kind of stuff. It was a little bit of bad luck. But those kind of plays are the kind of plays you can run with a real athletic offensive line. I think that was a difference today, and perhaps it caught the Jets a little off guard.
Another reason why the Buffalo Bills had so many opportunities to score was because of the defense. Of course, 5 takeaways for them. 2 of the guys who had some of those takeaways, Terry Johnson and Levi Wallace, are on the podium right now.
Levi Wallace, 5 turnovers for the secondary today. Jordan joked that he felt at the end like he had to come out here and get one just to be a part of the party. I mean, how well are you guys playing, and how good is a performance like this been?
I think today we played some good overall team defense. I think, we're always striving for that. I think that's kind of like our standard each and every week, to create turnovers. And
Yeah, we were joking on the sideline with Poe, and I told him that his was coming next, and ultimately he did. So I was happy for him.
You think you guys have ever been a part of a game like that at any level where everyone in the secondary had a turnover?
I mean, I haven't personally. I mean, I don't know how many teams have done that. To be honest, that's crazy to happen. I mean, we're still processing it, trying to figure out what all just happened. I mean, it's kind of surreal, but we had a good time. I think we're the best group when we're all out there having fun.
Did you guys see watching film of Blake White? You know, he had the great game against the Bengals, and you know there was kind of a buzz around here about him. Was there anything that you guys were able to do specifically against him?
I feel like we just played our game. You know, he's had some success in the past. The coaches came up with a good game plan. I feel like we executed, and when we had the opportunity to take the ball away, we did it.
You guys talked about it all week, about A.J. Klein and his ability to step up. I mean, how impressive was his performance today?
I mean, great. He ran the defense, you know what I'm saying, just as if Tremaine was out there. So, I mean, I feel like that's the story of our season all the time, especially, that's the story with our defense all the time, you know. One guy goes down, we have another guy come right back, you know what I'm saying. I feel like there's no drop-off, you know, and we're very blessed to have that on this team.
You guys always stay even every week, but did you notice a difference this week in the way guys prepared, the way the guys acted anyway? Did you notice anything different in the whole team, maybe from the end of last week into coming into today?
I think, you know, just having that bad taste in our mouth from last week, not performing to our standard, you know, it kind of put a little bit more urgency in our preparation. And I can only speak on the defense. I think we set out to, just going over last week, we didn't get enough turnovers and give the offense more opportunities. So I think that was one of our main focuses this week, to give offense more chances to score points, and try to make the other team one-dimensional, make them throw the ball, which continues to create turnovers. So like Terrence said, the coaches did a great job and gave us a great game plan. We went out there and tried to execute as best as we could.
Taryn, the defense has only allowed 6 points in the first quarter all season. So 9 games, 6 points in the first quarter. Is there something about that coming out of the locker room to start the game? The defense wants to put their fingerprint on the game immediately.
I mean, I just feel like it comes to. We've been playing with each other for a while now. You know, we got that camaraderie, that chemistry, and it just helps us go out there and be ready when the time comes. And us just being around each other all the time, that helps, and hopefully we continue doing that.
Taryn and Levi, 2 very important players to this defense, and another defensive player who's really started to heat up over the last couple of games is Ed Oliver. He's a defensive tackle that was selected in the first round, and last year without Starlo Tulele, he had to take on some responsibility that maybe he didn't normally have to. Starlo Tulele didn't play in this game, I think, which is an interesting point to make, because without Star, Ed hasn't shined as much. Star was out in this game. Harrison Phillips was in his place, and Ed had a great game.
Yeah,
what does that say about how he's grown so far this season?
He really flashed. He dominated some plays inside for the Bills. Harrison Phillips also played extremely well. Down inside, I think when Starlo Tulele was going to go out, a lot of Bills fans were like, oh, gosh, that could be the difference. You know, now they're going to run the ball. They're going to have their way with the Bills at the line of scrimmage. You don't have that big body down inside. Ed Oliver wouldn't let it happen, and neither did Harrison Phillips. I thought those guys showed up big. F.A. Obata and Boogie Basham made some plays later in the game. The whole defensive line rotation, I thought they dominated the line of scrimmage for the Bills secondary and led to some of the bad plays we saw. You know, Mike White trying to get rid of the ball. There was a play where it was up in the end. They called it an incomplete pass, and rightfully so, but he had guys all over him. Taron Johnson's interception, it fluttered so bad. Taron had to jump twice. He jumped, came back down, then jumped again to catch it. It's how the ball his arm got hit. So those guys up front, starting down inside with Ed Oliver and the way he played today, in the absence of Starlo Tulele, I think we'll raise some eyebrows, because there were a couple of plays when Ed Oliver was virtually unblockable, and he was getting double teamed, and neither guy almost got a hand on it. It was a pretty amazing handful of plays that he put together today.
He was on the podium earlier this week, and reporters reporters asked Ed Oliver, how has your season gone so far? And he goes, I need to get me a sack.
Yeah.
He hasn't had a sack, but he's had such a strong presence on the defensive line. Coach McDermott is available, so we're going to send it over to him to hear what he thought of his team's performance today.
Sean, when you guys learned this morning that Star was going to be out, what was that process like? And did it add any extra chaos to the morning, like right before the game like that?
Yeah, a little bit. It's interesting. Last year we tested every day, and I don't think we ended up having any positives on game day. We had quite a few of ours last year, the day before the game, day before the trip, or the day of the trip. But first time in my recollection that I can remember having one on game day, the morning of. So, we hope Star gets better and quickly. Not ideal, but I'm real proud of the way the guys responded. The defensive line, the defense, everyone, the staff went into action pretty swiftly there. Kevin Meegank, Nate Bresky, Brandon Bean, all the people that helped out did a great job.
Sean, you were pretty open about needing a running game. Did you feel like you challenged your offense? And if so, were you pretty happy with how they responded?
Yeah,
today?
I thought Brian Dable caught a great game. I really did. And changed the look, enough, and changed the profile of the offense. And I thought that was well executed and good to get Steph going there. And he gives us a ton of energy,
So many big offensive games over the last couple of years, but this kind of game, when you're running it and you keep doing it, what's that do for a team?
Well, just ask an offensive lineman what that does, right? It's good for all of us. It's good for the entire football team, and it was fun to watch. It really was. The running backs making plays, offensive line helping us make plays in the running game, and then getting the ball up in the air a couple of times to some really good receivers, and then hitting the tight ends. I mean, it was a good game plan, as I said, by the offensive staff and Brian, and then Brian went and called a heck of a game.
Do you remember a game when every starting member of the secondary had a takeaway? Do you remember anything like that?
I don't know. They probably know, those guys in there. But, yeah, just, I thought the one that Trey got was high-level stuff there in terms of really just playing, his role in the defense, doing his job and being where he was supposed to be. And that's always, when you do that and you see the execution, that's always fun to watch.
Ed mentioned that, there's, doesn't seem whatever he does, it's like he's almost at the sack week after week after week. He's been joking with Trey this week about it. How much have you been impressed with the way that he's played, even though that sack maybe hasn't come yet?
You talking about Ed? Oh, yeah. Very, very happy with the way he's developing, with room to go still. And I think he senses that. He's seeing the fruits of his labor, the fruits of his approach, and the work that he's putting in. He's seeing it pay off. And, when you're bringing a young player along, that's exciting and fun to watch at the same time.
Sean, how much did the experience of last week, the week of preparation, whatever went on internally, how did all that kind of translate into what we saw on the field today, particularly on the offensive?
Well, I mean, it wasn't just, those conversations weren't just specific to one side of the ball or the other. It was our entire team. And I really appreciate the leadership on our football team. I thought they did a great job this week leading at that level. And that's great. That's a big part of it. We need that every week moving forward. And so I just think, at the end of the day, you try and define the reality of our situation and where we were and how we got there and where we need to go and what the vision is going forward. And some of those are encouraging conversations. Some are, matter of fact and truth-filled conversations. And so I think that's the right balance.
Sean, you mentioned Stephon Diggs and the energy he brings to the offense. Just kind of follow up on that. When he gets going like he did today, how much does that put the other team's defense really on their heels?
Yeah, well, probably a better question for them, honestly, Josh. But he's an elite receiver for a reason, and let's not forget about E on the other side and what Cole did in the game, and then you bring Isaiah in and Gabe. I mean, that was again fun to watch. All 5 guys, maybe there was more, but I thought Gabe Davis made some huge plays for us as well.
Your defense is, I'm sorry, your defense has allowed 6 points in the first quarter all season. What is it about when you guys come out of the locker room to start a game about kind of putting your fingerprint on things right away?
Again, I think that give the defensive staff credit. Leslie Frazier has them ready to go. They come up with a good plan, and the players seem to understand the plan early in the game, which is critical to play well early in the football game. So, but again, it's all three phases working together, because some of those are, hey, offense is possessing the football, or today you saw the defense go 3 and out field position. I think another 3 and out or a takeaway field position. So that complementary piece has to continue to thrive for us.
What changed for you guys with AJ replacing Tremaine?
I don't think much, really, just in terms of the way we called the game, the way we shaped the game plan. Listen, we need and want Tremaine out there. He's one of our leaders, one of our captains, and has played a lot of good football for us this season. So, I think what you saw out there was AJ, a lot of trust and faith in AJ, and he's a good football player.
Sean, obviously you guys put Spencer Brown into the lineup for a reason when you did. What did you maybe miss when the last couple of weeks when he was out? And I know you like to watch the film on O-linemen, but can you give an early assessment maybe of what you thought he had today?
Well, I can tell you, Jay, that I sensed an intensity and an energy from him. And that's as best I can tell you right now. And then we ran the ball, I thought, effectively, in particular in the second half, mostly I think in the third quarter. Again, a young player. Let's not put him in the Hall of Fame yet. Okay, please help me with that. He's a young player that has to continue to learn what it takes to play in this league, and he knows that. And that humble and hungry approach, man, is real, and we need to carry that forward next week. So.
Gold Jackets, Matt Breida, had a really good game. A guy that hasn't seen a lot of playing time this year. What did you see from him?
Yeah, he gave us a spark, I felt. I thought the receivers, what I could tell, blocked well too. On the perimeter, some of those perimeter runs that we had spread throughout the backs. That takes wide receivers blocking, which to me is a very unselfish trait, and that'll go a long way for our team and getting Matt in some of those runs and giving us a spark like he did. We got to do a better job protecting the ball. So I didn't like the way we finished the game. So we'll work on that next week.
Sean, how much had you planned on using Breida independent of Moss's situation with his injury? Meaning, how much did that weigh into whether or not Breida dressed today, or how much?
Yeah. He was going to be in the plan. It was just a matter of how much. So at the end of the day, it was he's up, he's active for the game, and again, I thought Dave's caught a great game in terms of getting him the ball in different ways. So, so he was in the game plan.
Even though just one catch, Dawson Knox's influence just being on the field as somebody that the Jets have to worry about. Yeah. What did you see from that?
He completes our offense just in terms of his role and what he means to Josh, and love his unselfish approach as well. He's one of the guys that is well liked, on offense, defense, and special teams, because of the energy he brings, and not only the player he is, but the energy he brings and how unselfish he is in his approach.
I saw Isaiah come in right before the game, kind of gather up the receivers and gave some type of speech. How much has he evolved as a leader? We think of him as the jokester, right? Isaiah McKenzie, yeah. But how much has he evolved as kind of a leader, as a guy in the room that has the respect of his teammates?
Yeah, we've got him, from Denver 3 years ago now. Was it off on waivers or no? Yeah. Practice squad. And, you look at how far he has come as a person. He's always been a good person, but just how far he's come in his maturity, how he's developed off the field, and then how he's developed on the field. And I'm just extremely proud of him. I really am. It's... You love when you see a person like that have success. He's part of the reason why we are who we are. Just in terms of his story, you guys should look into his story a little deeper. He hasn't come from much, but he's offered so much to our football team.
Did he come out okay? He was banged up at the end there.
Yeah, I haven't talked to Nate. I believe so.
Gotcha.
So we're talking about intensity from, whether it be McKenzie here or that anecdote or Spencer Brown, all the different things. It's hard, you can't manufacture it, but what did you try to do in the week leading up to this game after what happened last Sunday in terms of trying to get these guys to flip that switch, if there is such a thing? I mean, I know that in the sports psychology of it, you think about that a lot. What about that aspect of the approach?
Yeah, I just felt, Tim, that really they did it. It wasn't anything I did, they did it. And it was led by the leaders. So.
Sean, you fared well in the red zone today. How encouraging was that, your success inside the 20-yard line?
Yeah, it's big. You got to do that. I thought we struggled. I think we had another opportunity or two in the first quarter maybe to go up with a wider margin at that point. So red zone plays an important role every week, and I was glad to see us do what we did this week.
How much do you think Isaiah can help you in that regard? You saw what he did on the jet sweep. Is that something you want to see more of maybe?
It's just, again, that was great game planning by the offensive staff. So whatever the situation calls for, whatever they think is the right formula, that's what they're going to do.
Last one, what does Micah and Jordan mean for this team? Not only their play on the field, but their leadership.
Yeah, huge for me, for our team. I mean, every ship needs a rudder, right? In terms of to steer it where it needs to be, where it needs to go, and those guys do a phenomenal job, as well as some others here for us and for me. So it certainly helps out a lot. All right, thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
Sean McDermott's press conference is brought to you by Highmark Blue Cross Blue Shield of Western New York, the official health plan of the Buffalo Bills.
Sean McDermott said multiple times that he was proud of the game that his offensive coordinator, Brian Daboll, called. What type of game did he call, and how was it different from last week with the use of play action?
Well, early on, it was a little bit different, like we've been talking about. Josh was under center, and they used some heavier personnel, a couple of tight ends in the green, and they used the fullback as well with Reggie Gilliam being activated, 5 running backs activated, 3 or 4 running backs, and Reggie Gilliam, the fullback. And the tight ends. They got all those guys involved in the running game right off the bat, went heavy, and it worked. They put Josh Allen under center. They forced the Jets to say, all right, they might turn around and hand this off. That helped. And the fact that at the end of it, of course, the Bills had a lead early on, and they never relinquished the lead. They never trailed in this game. But their ability to balance the run, and I think that goes towards people saying, hey, what's he doing? He throws the ball too much. They do whatever down and distance, whatever play selection they happen to be looking at right then, they run the play that gives them the best chance. A lot of times it's a passing play. But when they get into a game like this, 24 rushing plays, only 28 passing plays, 2 punts. That's your 54 offensive plays. Pretty physical day for the Buffalo Bills.
And that's what Sean McDermott was asking for. He said this team needs to be more physical, and they were able to do that on offense in this game. This is a team that when they need to run the ball, they have to be effective. They don't need to run the ball all the time, but when they do it, good teams in the playoffs know how to run the ball. And to be able to see this team do that today, to average 5.8 yards per attempt, they're just talking about the running backs, that is good for the future of the Buffalo Bills when we get into December and January and hopefully February as well. But Josh Allen and Matt Breida are on the podium. Let's send it to them.
Obviously a big game for this guy sitting next to you. What did he bring? Sean added he added a spark, but from your vantage point, what did he bring today?
Well, yeah, I mean, I alluded to this earlier on Wednesday. Just the game-breaking speed. He's able to make one cut and go. You see it in the passing game, too. He's on that first drive, saw what I saw, darted upfield, and we were on the same page there. So, again, and this is a guy that hasn't had many opportunities throughout the year. He made the most of it today. It was good to see.
Matt, how hard is it to stay patient while you're waiting for your chance?
It's extremely hard, but honestly, with this team, it makes it kind of easy because, like, a lot of, we're not worried about touchdowns or stats or nothing like that. We're just worried about winning. And then we have guys, Josh, leading you like that every day, man. It makes it easy to come into work, Of course, you want to be up every week, but at the end of the day, you got to do what's best for the team.
Josh, was that the exact same play to Diggs? When he was the first one, it looked like he caught it, but then they rolled him out, and then he went back to him. Was that the exact same play?
Yeah, I mean, we saw the matchup. We liked it. Just a little communication to run a fade and give him a chance, and that's all I really can do with him. Just give him a chance, and he's more than likely to come down with it. He had an amazing game today.
on another note, I mean, I think all of our DBs had some sort of turnover today, so that was awesome to see. Our defense just continues to play lights out. It makes it easy for us to go out there and, 3-and-out opening drive, we go down and score. It's complementary football. The Jets' offense scored, I believe, on 2 turnovers from me and Matt. So that's something that we still need to clean up and learn from. And as we go forward, we're going to continue to make that an emphasis and focus on ball security.
How did the experience of last week, the week of preparation, Sean talked about internal leadership being vital in that. How did that all translate onto the field?
Yeah, I mean, preparation, just a really good week of practice. Got some true veteran guys, true professional football players that care about each other, care about their craft, and that's just one thing that we're not going to do as a team is ride this roller coaster on we're the worst team to ever play, now we're the best team to ever play. Like we're gonna stay consistent and steady and come into work each and every day, and again try to put our best foot forward every Sunday, Monday, or Thursday of which we play, and as we continue to go forward, that's all we can do. Let's try to stack wins, but that week is the biggest week. It's trying to go 1-0 each week, and again, we got a really tough opponent this next week in Indianapolis coming, I think, to Buffalo, and they're playing really good football right now, so we got to have a good week and try to go execute a big
Josh, everyone on your secondary came away with a takeaway. All 3 of your running backs scored. How much fun is it when everyone's getting involved like that, and how critical is that to your guys' success, that energy that you guys bring? It didn't seem like you had it last week. You had it this week. How important is that to your success?
I mean, I think it's extremely vital. Again, rushing touchdowns, the running backs love it, but not only that, the old linemen love that. That's a stat that they can take pride in. So when we get that going, teams just have to focus on a multitude of things, and I think we're pretty balanced today in our attack, whether it be rushing or passing. I think we did a good job with that. Again, some things like I said earlier, we can clean up the ball security issues and being smart with the football, things of that nature. But again, our guys came out ready to play, and that's a week we needed. And again, we got to continue to improve and focus on what's going to help us in the long run.
You got some guys back. How much did their return to the lineup help you guys?
I mean, a lot. Having Spencer back, that's assuming who you're talking about. He provides some toughness for us there, and guys, they play really well together, and they had a really good day today.
Josh, when the defense is rolling like that, how much pressure does that kind of take off you guys collectively as an offense?
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of stats out there in the league, but I think the one constant one that continues to show each and every week is the turnover differential, especially under Coach McDermott. I think Dave's alluded to it earlier this year. When we don't turn the ball over, we're damn hard team to beat. So again, that's got to be a point of emphasis of making sure we're taking care of the football through the air and through the ground, and that's just something that we got to continue to work on.
Matt, can you take us through that first touchdown?
Actually, I converted that route. And once again, that goes to Josh and just me working with him, during the offseason and OTAs. And then, during the season, me and him just, we think a lot alike, and I just seen that, they were doubling digs on that. So I decided to take off. And, he's a playmaker. He's probably the best quarterback in the NFL, to all of us, So we just read each other the same. And, he just looked at me and we were on the same page and he just hit me.
Matt, how tough is it to stay that ready? I mean, you didn't have a lot of snaps on offense the whole time. And here you are in a big game, getting a lot of opportunities. How difficult is that?
I mean, you got to be a pro. That's what this league's about. And when you get your opportunity, you got to make the most of it. And like I said, when you have guys on the team that, are on the same page every day, we're not worried about touchdowns or we're worried about wins. We have a bigger goal in mind. So it just makes it easier. And like I said, you just got to be a pro about it.
Josh Stephon was involved really early and quite often. When you guys start flowing like that, how easy is it just to find him on a consistent basis? Maybe not easy is the right word, but...
Yeah, no, it does make it easy to throw to the guy like that. He works his tail off in practice. He does the right things. He's a captain for a reason. And again, we haven't given him that much opportunity to be involved in our offense. I know throughout the year he's had a few games where he's eclipsed 100, but like the point of emphasis this week was like let's get him the ball as early and often as possible. And he made some unbelievable plays today. Some off-the-cusp plays, that one right before the half, that the long one, the 50-yard or whatever it was. That was just something he saw, and he took off. And again, going back to last year, that's just kind of how we were. We saw the same thing. He would make a play, and I'd just give him a chance for it. And The more opportunities that we give him, the happier we're probably going to be because he just continues to make play after play.
Matt, as difficult as it is to remain patient, you've more or less been in this type of role your entire career. How comfortable are you in this role, and how much did that prepare you for your big moment today?
Like I said before, man, I'm just being a pro about it. And like you said, my whole career I've always been doubted, you know what I mean? So it's nothing new to me ever since even when I was a kid, you know what I mean? So I just look at it every day going with a chip on my shoulder and, just want to, do the best I can for these guys, you know what I mean? They believe in me, and, they gave me a chance today, and I was able to make the most of my opportunity. And all my teammates, contribute to that. So that's all that.
Thanks, guys.
Hey, guys.
The quarterback press conference is brought to you by Lombardo Funeral Home, proud sponsor of the Buffalo Bills.
There's a lot of great stats to come out of this game. A couple other ones that we haven't mentioned as we close out the show. The Bills averaged 9.1 yards per play. They were 6 of 7 in the red zone. And I think my favorite thing of the day, the Bills scored on their first drive of the game. They scored right before the half with less than a minute to go. And then they scored coming out of the locker room on their first drive in the third quarter. They went on to then score 3 straight touchdowns after that first drive in the third quarter. That's what you need from this offense.
It's become a little bit, not going to say predictable, but it's become their identity in these games. And these games have kind of unfolded in the same way. You think back to the Miami Dolphins game 3 games ago, where they came out 3-3 or 6-6 at halftime, and they came out and lengthened their lead, and they beat them by 15 points. This team, and it's a credit to not just the players, but I think the coaching staff for getting a handle on what they're looking at as a strategy from their opponent, getting out ahead of it, and coming back with some adjustments in the second half and series to series to give the Bills a chance to stay on the field offensively and shut them down defensively. I think this happens on both sides of the ball. Josh said it. When the Bills don't turn it over, they're really difficult to beat. And you look over their last 20 games or so, I think they're like 16-4 or 16 and maybe 17-5 now or something. And their total losses are by less than 16 points combined. They don't ever get blown out. Their point differential is huge. And if you get this team if this team gets up on you, it's a hole a lot of teams just don't have the firepower to dig out of.
Yeah, they lead the NFL in turnover differential with plus 11. That's a really important stat when you look at wins versus losses, is how is your team doing in that category. And next week, it's not going to get any easier for the Buffalo Bills. They're coming back home, but they're going to play the Indianapolis Colts. Frank Reich coming back to Buffalo. Always good to welcome Frank back here. But the Colts have gotten a little bit hot as of late, so it'll be another tough game for the Buffalo Bills as we inch closer towards that Thanksgiving game against the Saints. But that's going to do it for us. If you guys want more highlights, more analysis, and more post-game sound, make sure you head to MSG at 11:30, where we will break it all down for you. For Steve Tasker, I'm Maddy Glab. We'll see you next week.